Alright, welcome back to Project Phoenix. I guess we should start calling it what it is. Little camera adjustment based on feedback. And the four bolts down in there that I was worried about getting out yesterday. Turns out I was using the wrong wrench, just trying to shove a 12 millimeter down there to get them, and the 10 is what you needed. So 10 went down, and they all popped loose. So I did that right after I shut the camera off yesterday, because that's how things happen. So those are all loose. And I've got some questions because these two have crossheads, like I think was original. And these two do not have crossheads. So I'm wondering about, yeah, that one's got a number stamp. These both have CL10.9 stamped in them. So that sounds like something they bought at Home Depot or something. So I'm just curious about that. Same size socket, but different looking heads. So that's interesting. And then I forgot this bolt, which I think is in the camera right at the bottom. And then this bolt back here. So we're gonna do those now. They are also 10 millimeter. Came off nice. I'm kind of a little bit lucky that this bike was leaking oil, so everything's coming apart relatively easily. Kind of a double-edged sword there. You don't want your bike to leak, but then again, kind of self-lubricating for disassembly. It's a good sign that you need to take it apart anyway, right, if it's leaking. Pardon the top of my head. See, some of these aren't even that tight, which makes me a little bit curious about how things are going, but that's all right. So we're just going to loosen all these up, and then it's a big fight apparently to get the head off. So I'm going to pause the video for that because I don't think this is going to just come apart gently. I'm going to have to probably fight it pretty good. So I will turn some wrenches for a minute, and then we're going to pause the video so that I can have that fight without everyone having to listen to it. Alright, tell you what, let me take one of these out that is different looking than the original ones. I'll show you what that looks like. Or I'll try to anyway. So yeah, Project Phoenix, because it's been down and come back so many times. When I first got it, didn't like to run on all four cylinders, and it's a carburation and or a spark ignition issue because I had some sketchy ignition wires for a little while, and took some dealing with to get it to run consistently, and it did, but then it got awful gas mileage, like worse than I had a Camry at the time. Got better gas mileage than the bike. And that was due almost certainly to me messing with the carburetors and not knowing what I was doing. Then some fighting with that, got it to run pretty well after that. That was Phoenix 1, I guess. Then it was starting to, I don't remember why I initially took it apart to build the chopper. Told you that story in the last video. But it went back together after that, and it was fully dead. Then I had everything all the way apart. I have pictures around somewhere of like just the frame sitting in the garage by itself with everything off of it. So I got it back going after that, and it's been through multiple cycles like that. This last iteration, it was running great, getting good mileage. Starts every time. It always does that. It's never stranded me except when I run it out of gas. And then started giving me this transmission. I think some kind of a clunking feel in my feet. Started finding false neutrals and slipping out of gear in a couple places. And it's like, it's getting tired. Let's take it apart and clean it up. So we're going for Phoenix, whatever that is. So here are the two bolts I was talking about. This appears to be the original. That is not, and you can tell this is original because apparently Japanese people in the 60s and 70s were sadists and they put Phillips threads and everything. I know they're JIS, but whatever. I'm gonna put these. I'm gonna put them over here with the nuts. I still haven't organized the parts from yesterday any better than just laying them on towels. So I'll come up with a method here. I may do the print the pictures thing. I may, like I did for the cam cover, I just drew it. I traced the actual physical cam cover out, which you can't really do with the top of this thing, but it's a pretty good one. So I may just draw a picture and stick it all through cardboard again. Maybe I'll take a really good photo of this. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll take a really good photo of this before I tear it all the way apart, and then I'll print that out full scale. And then I will have everything just on a punch board. The nuts I'll have to figure out something to stick through to put them onto. Maybe I'll just, the studs are gonna have to come out at some point too, so maybe we'll just do that. Alright, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Let's give this thing a smack with the mallet and see if it wants to come apart. I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, big nope. Alright. Here comes the fun. Be back. Alright. Or you take all the bolts out and it just comes off. So I pried a little bit. There's some pry points right underneath number 1 and number 4 right there. And they're kind of on the front too. There's not a lot of meat to do it. And you got to watch out for your fins because everything is just aluminum. And aluminum will break. So I think we're going to just let this go now because I'm taking this all the way apart and I'll fish it back out of there if I really want to. No? Okay. So I popped it loose, it broke through the gasket. Now we're going to just go like that. I'm assuming I'm doing this right. Yeah. Gasket's sticking. Let's see if I can get this gasket to come loose. The gasket's sticking to the head and then to the top of the cylinders. A little bit, different places. Alright. Smells like the 70s in here. Okay, here we go. And it comes off. Well, look at that. If I turn this over, is anything gonna fall out? Don't think so. Bunch of dirt. You couldn't hear that, but a bunch of dirt crunched out of there. Let's see how my oil seals do. One stayed there. Sleeve there, sleeve there, sleeve, 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 sleeve. Oil, that one stayed there. The other one came with. Is that in the camera? Not really. That's what that looks like. It doesn't look damaged, but it does look tired. Here's another no-no. Alright. That actually doesn't look terrible. I'm looking right now to see if I can see like Velcro or something on it, but I don't. I don't know that you would anyway, but somebody who's done this before would probably be able to look at that and tell me if that was OEM, from the 70s, or if it is an aftermarket one. I I am not as concerned about that as I seem to be. That's good right there. All right, kids. Well, some of this is kind of crusty. I don't know if I should. Yeah, let me take you out of that holder. We're gonna do some close-ups here just because So cylinder 1, 2 is down in its hole. Let me get a light. I think you can see that. There's 3 down in its hole. There's 4. And there's the combustion chambers, I guess. There's 4, 3, cam pathway 2, and number 1. So no idea what we're doing with any of this yet. Probably doing what I can, and then we'll see about sending it out or not. I don't know if that's even necessary. Clean these pistons up. Nothing is nothing's seized or scorched. You know, the cylinder walls look all right to me. Let's see if I can see. No up and down scoring on those 2 and 3 anyway. Everything is, you know, cylindrical, circular, whatever the word is. Fish the cam chain out of there. I'll fish the cam chain out so I can turn the engine around without jamming it into anything. Because again, steel cam chain, aluminum engine cases equals bad times if you do it wrong. That's why it's important to keep your cam chain tensioned. That was one of the problems I was having when I thought the engine was bad, because I was tensioning the cam chain wrong. You're supposed to do that with, if I remember right, cylinder 1 at top dead center. And I was just doing it willy-nilly. The system on this bike is pretty great, I think. I don't know. You just get the engine where it's supposed to be, and you loosen the nut, and the tensioner pushes the chain. It's like great. But I was doing it without getting the engine where it was supposed to be first. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. Got it in my Hertz tub over here. I'm gonna find it. One sec. Yeah, so I've got a plastic tub over here full of little tubs, and I happen to find the one I put gelato container. Cam tensioner got its own little container. So since I skipped this part of the disassembly before we started videoing, I'll show you now. That's the cam chain tensioner, and it bolts into the back side of the cylinders, right into that hole there. And it's just these 3 bolts that hold it in. And this boot, I'm not gonna be able to do it by hand probably. Or did I retighten the lock? Of course I did. So that's why I took it out. There we go. If you don't crush your thumb and drop something on the floor while you're loosening a fastener, are you even trying? There we go. Alright. So this thing pushes against the back side of the cam chain while it's in the engine. I don't know if you can see that. Probably. Pushes on this guy, actually, I think. Yeah, pushes on this roller, which rolls the chain and tensions the cam chain. Great. So what happens, you get the engine at top dead center, and it puts the chain where it's supposed to be. And this is the screw here is, I think, a limiter that holds it where it's supposed to be. So you put the chain where it's supposed to be, and it'll push. When you loosen this bolt up, this will move to where it's supposed to be. You tighten it back down, and it stays where it's at, and that keeps everything under the tension that it's supposed to be under. But what I was doing was wherever the engine was at, not at where it was supposed to be, not at cylinder 1 top dead center. So it was in the wrong place. So I was probably doing it too with this too compressed, so the cam chain too tight on the back side, because I was hearing a lot of cam chain noise where it's supposed to be pressing and giving constant tension to the cam chain. Now you saw when I just did it, it was probably about there, and max travel is way out there, so it wasn't maxed out by any stretch. But I'm gonna actually leave that loose, put him back in his little container. Now he won't fit in his container loose. Good. Now we'll tighten him up. There we go. Get in there. Recommend keeping things like this. Got mixed nuts. Got Snyder's pretzels. Got things falling over that I didn't want to. So any of these plastic containers with lids are great for this kind of thing. Some guys use egg crates for this stuff, which probably would have been a good idea because it has little containers that are laid out laterally like this, so you can put each cylinder in its own place. But for pieces and parts that you're taking off of your bike, something this size is great for isolating. I want this by itself. I don't want anything else getting mixed up with its parts, etc. And then I've got even bigger ones for bigger things, and it's a good idea to have those around. It's hard to justify keeping them around until you're doing a project, but if you're preparing for a project and you've got a shop that you can hide them in, then they won't be in your way. Now this cam chain roller is looking kind of, it's like pitted and chopped up, which is weird to me. Maybe normal. Looks weird to me. Oh, I wanted to keep this up so I could turn this around. I get 2 and 3 at the top. Look at those things. Yeesh. Dirty. And I run really good gas. I run the highest octane I can find, because around here usually the highest octane is also the no ethanol offering. So we like to not run ethanol because we get really cold in the winter here, and if you have ethanol in anything, it will, not it might, it will gel up and cause havoc. I've had it happen multiple times. First time I had it happen was not actually even a machine of mine. It was a friend. His lawnmower wouldn't run. And if you sprayed starting fluid in it, or if you poured gas right down the throat of it, it would run for long enough to burn that up, and then would die again. So we opened the float bowl on the carburetor, and it was a solid, lawnmower carburetor. The float bowl was only the size of a shot glass, but it was completely full of just gel. And the ethanol must have separated from it smelled like alcohol. He was like, "Who put alcohol in my lawnmower?" I was like, "No, nobody put alcohol in your lawnmower. You just had cheap pump gas in there and it froze." And then I had it happen to my snowblower a couple times. It wasn't as catastrophic as that. It was just little balls stuck in some of the carburetor passageways, but still a nuisance. So those are 2 little O-rings I just separated from where they were. I'm going to leave them here for now so I don't lose them. And then, like I said, the 2 alignment sleeve things, or whatever they're called, are here. And they both stayed in the cylinders, so that's good to me. Now, I have to do some other removing of things, but I'm going to do some more reading first. And I'm going to look at the time, because I do have plans later today. Alright, I've got a couple hours. So it's kind of funny, every time I touch these, they start to vibrate, and then you touch them again, and you can feel them buzzing. Interesting sensation. So I'm going to take some detailed pictures of all this stuff just for myself, and then read the next steps, and I'll be back to do those in a minute. Alright folks, we did a little cleaning up of the bench, organizing of some things, so I have somewhere to put the cylinders, because they're going to just come off, I think. I'm going to leave these O-rings on here for now. I'm going to turn this a little bit. It's just a rope. Yep, there they go. The cylinder's off. Let's get this gasket out of here. It's looking a little rough in some spots. Look at that. Guess that's just how it's shaped. This one right here. It's good and blown out. Also, let me get you a look at the dimensionality of that dirt. You see a thick pile of dirt? It's 2 thick piles of dirt. Cute. And here are the cylinders. Take these seals. Well, we're going to hopefully be replacing them anyway, so let me just take them all off willy-nilly. Let's shove them over there. These 2 O-rings. There's the cylinders. Let's see what's going to fall out of there. Just more dirt. And 2 guides, okay. So that's the other side of those piles of dirt. Right in the middle there near the cam chain passageway. It must be, let's see. Yeah, those are open to, ugh. I'll have to get that on video. Just set that there for a sec. You're gonna be able to see this probably. Look at right here. Look at this. I don't know if you've seen any of that. Goodness gracious. How are you supposed to keep that clean with the engine assembled, do you think? I can't think of a way. Interesting choice. There. Just scraped them out a little bit. You can see all the way through them now. And there's another guide. That goes through to those fins. The fins look right in that big gaping hole in the middle there. Opens up into that. So all of the dirt and crust that was blowing into the engine was going right into there. Splendid. Alright, so I've dropped 1, 2, 3. Saw you 4. Those were 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. Where's these gonna come out? Oh yeah. Well, let's just take them out then. They're gonna just pop right out of there. Hesitating to grab them with pliers, although I know I probably could get away with it. Just don't wanna. That one's a little snug. Gentle grab. There we go. Alright. These are in a little more sturdily, so I'll leave them in. And on this side, there's 2 more in that same. Let's see. I'm grabbing my fingers. There's one on the top, one on the bottom on each side, so those 2 are going to stay there. Now, let's see about this guy. Pretty sure. Just taking the pin out of that side, lifting it this way. That's all there is to that. Cam chain guide. It is going to be wiped off before we evaluate. It seems to be in better shape than the roller was. That roller's really chewed up. I don't know if you can see that. I can't be bothered to reach up there and zoom in. So, take my word for it. That guy's in pretty good shape. Again, what the hell do I know? I've never taken an engine apart in my life. Alright, I'm fighting the urge to clean because we're just doing disassembly right now. Cylinders look, like I said, they're not really terrible. They'll need to be honed, of course. And they show the normal wear marks at the tops of the cylinders where the rings would stop. So, I've seen a lot of videos, which means I know nothing, but based on that knowledge of nothing, looks like every cylinder's most cylinders that I've seen come apart, except for one where the engine blew up and parts went into the cylinder. Does not look like that. So that's good news. All right, this can go right there. Now, running out of real estate on the bench, so what we're gonna do is that, just like that. And then didn't I had an empty container, I thought. Well, I'm just gonna take one of these for now. Dump all that crap in there. Beautiful. Now, pick this guy up. And let's see about taking this apart. That comes out. That comes out. I'm assuming it's gonna just come out. No, it won't. There's a little notch in there. Well, then that one's gonna have to come out. Cute. I'm gonna answer for that too. So there's a little key on that. I don't know if it's a bushing or what it is. It won't go out through that side. It won't come out through that side. So do I just magic? Shove it back in there. Why? Well, we don't want it to spin, I guess. So I'm just gonna put this back the way I found it, just like that. And this guy, just like that. Perfect. Maybe? Question mark. Here, I'll get you a close up now. What do you think of that? You see the difference there? Is it focused? It's not focused right here. It's kind of beat up. This side's a little beat up too, but this guy's nice and clean. So hopefully nothing. I will replace those. All right. Cam chain. That's dumb. Why would I do that? All right, let's get the pistons out. That involves circlips and a need for more light. So I'm gonna go get my circlip pliers and a light. Alright, so because things aren't interesting enough, I now have a cord I can trip on. And I just checked how easy this is gonna be on one of these, and it's pretty stinking easy. Pulled one out, and we're just gonna keep going. Push on the other side of this wrist pin with a screwdriver. Hopefully that's alright. I figured that should just slide out of there. It's not doing it though. Don't want to scratch that. Don't want to hit the inside of this with the screwdriver. Sir, what do we do? A conundrum. Well, that's alright. Life is full of that kind of stuff. Let's see. Push it back. There we go. I'm just gonna push it both ways until it just. Well, I'm gonna take the clip off the other side, then, don't I? Going this way. Slide that far very easily now. Proper way to do this would be with a punch. punching through where I can get to. So let's take the clip out of the other side, which hopefully will be just as easy as it was on the other side. Of course it wouldn't be. Why would it be that easy? Let's see. There it goes. Grab that one right in the middle. The other one I got on the end. That one was right in the middle. I do have a punch set in the house. What do I have out here? Please hold. Alright. Got a socket extension. Seems to fit in there. I already knocked on this a little bit to see if it would work. So, there we go. Cylinder number 3. Looks like all the oil passageways are clear on that, if that's what those are. I think they are. Pin shows normal. Again, what do I know? Normal wear. Rings look okay. Not a lot going on there. Put that back together a little bit. If there's a fore and aft on these, I think there must be. Yeah, looks like the bigger cutout goes to the front. And his little circlips. So how are we going to do this, Nick? What are we going to do here? Let's go get a piece of cardboard. Bing, magic. 3. Alright, let's get the clip out of number 2. Clip out of number 2, I said. And let's get the pin out. Give it a little convincing. Again, the rings looks like alright to me. Oil passageways look good. The ones I can see. There are some up there underneath the one ring, the oil ring apparent, obviously. Let me get this all the way out because OCD. There. Well, it's got interesting. You can feel the wear on that one. And there's like a double ring. That's interesting. Alright, well. Back in there for you. Number 2. Alright, now I need to rotate around. You can see my crankshafts. I don't know how many times I've said it. I've never done this before, so everything is new and exciting. This is number 4. That was dumb. I can't get a hammer and everything in here. I guess I could. The pliers even in here. Let's go. Here we go. Come out. Oh, I bent that one. Cool story, bro. Alright. The whole thing is a tuning fork. Let's not smash that into the piston if we can help it. There we go. A little scoring there, look at that. Oh yeah, he had it too. Looking a little ugly, but that's why we're doing this. Get some scratches there, scratches there. Let me get a rag. What do we think of that? Not the best, right? exactly awesome. Number 4. There's like spider nest or something in there. Been a rough time for a spider. Who knows what it was? Alright. Pin back in that one. Let me see if there's scoring on these ones too. Oh yeah, there's number 3. It's hard to get with the glare, but you can see the worn spots there. What's funny is that I don't remember seeing matching anything like vertical scoring in the cylinder. But again, I don't know anything about this stuff. I can read a book though, and I can turn a wrench, so I think I can do it. Because if somebody that knew what they were doing wrote the book, then I should be able to stand on their shoulders, as it were, and go from there. Let's get this last one out. Really awkward position with these studs in here. There we go. Also, with the opening on the opposite side of it wasn't really helpful. It's okay. There we go. Pretty much typical wear on that. And on these, just chunks of crap falling off the top of it, of course. That, and then that. So, once again, that's what we're doing. No, won't go in that way. This is 392. What's this 392? What's this 392? Okay, so they all have there. You can see that 392, and then there's a number there too, and then they all say Honda on the other side, of course. I'm guessing that I put that into the camera the right direction because everything's upside down and backwards in here. So I guess the question is, do I just clean those up and shove them back in, or do I replace them and have the cylinders, wow home the cylinders, because they shouldn't be at oversizing yet. Man, oh man. That is the inside of an engine. Me, never seen anything like it. You know what I forgot to do? Just to put on another sweatband, because it's not quite July yet, but it is humid, and I sweat to the point that I probably should seek medical attention. But instead, what I do is a bunch of t-shirt sleeves that I cut off years ago, and I use them as sweatbands. All right, because they fit around my melon just fine. I believe the next step, well, the next thing I would like to do is to take these studs out, but this one is very rusty. Let's get you a look at that. This one right here. See how gross that looks compared to the rest of them? The rest of them look like this one. They look pretty much fine. But this guy, for some reason, this guy was on the Titanic. I'll figure the camera out eventually. So I already hit it with some Croyle there. His twin brother over here. Let's get it in the camera. Where are you? His twin brother over here is a little bit crusty, but not near as crusty as that one. So magical properties of the Croyle. While we're talking about, I'm going to hit her again. Actually, let's make some room in here. Yuck. It's just loaded up with gunk. Of course, now it's gunk soaked in Croyle. So. It's wild. This one too. I wonder if there were or if there were supposed to be like O-rings in those. I don't remember taking O-rings out of there. But then again, I don't remember much, which is why we're videoing. It would also help if I had some compressed air back here to hit that with, but I don't. Alright. Fill that up with some Croyle. Fill you up with some. Perfect. Getting there. ADD break. There we go. So that's that. Get this miscellaneous crap out of here because I don't even remember what any of that was for. Although I probably should. So we'll put that up here on the windowsill. And they look like pretty typical bolts. Bolts for the starter are with the starter, if I remember correctly. Should take that gauge off so I don't ruin it. Yeah, let's do that. According to every manual I've ever seen, this is the right tool for this job. No, take the gauge off first. Yeah. Boy, oh boy. It's been on there for probably more than 10 years. There she goes. Take the gauge off first. Boy, it's hard being dumb. We're gonna use this for that too, I guess. There we go. Let's just leave that plug in there. I'll take it out. We will take it out and we will cleanly do a little bit out of there. It's pieces of O-ring is what we call that dish. Back in there, hand tight. I don't know if you can see any of what I'm doing. You can't, of course. So, there's that thing. And let's see if we got that made it worse. Stand by. All right. This guy needs to stay somewhere safe. I think he's gonna live with Mr. Cam Chain Tensioner because there's room in there and they are in the same vicinity. Take and fit in there just fine. Get it at the right angle. There we go. Good enough. So that. Nothing else to take out of the head or the cylinders. Could take the valve train apart, like the valves and all that actually apart. I I'm more interested in getting the cases split, but these studs are in the way for that. So we're going to see about doing that. I'll be right back. So the next step is going to be to get all these studs out. And the 3 manuals I have over here, none of them mentioned that stuff. So I think that's interesting. There is a real tool for doing this the right way. Real tool for doing it the right way. But I don't. 3 guesses. I don't have one of those tools. So I'm doing it the old school way that my dad always used to do it, which is put 2 nuts together, tighten them really tight, and then you can use that to loosen it. And through that method, I got a couple of them to move. I got this one out all the way. I stuck it back in so I didn't forget where it was. Just wanted to see if that would work, if it was even worth trying the rest of them, or what. So tighten it. You can see that, right? Tighten the 2 nuts together. Tight. And loosen. Now this one, like I said, is already out. It's only in a couple of threads. So that's a cheater, but that's the method. And this one's in great shape. Like I said, these 2 end ones are not in awesome shape. And they're soaking in Kroil. So I'm going to leave this one. No, that's why I put it back in, because I don't have an organizational structure set up quite yet that I like. So I'm just going to put this in 1 or 2 threads by hand. They're really tight threads. So that one's been out. This one's also free. I haven't gotten it out yet. I tried this one. It didn't want to move. I tried that one. It didn't want to move. So we're going to keep working across the front here and see if I can get anybody else to go. And we'll do that with the camera going. Just because that's how it goes. That. Tighten, tighten, tighten. Another squeeze. Tighten. Now I'm guessing this is not the best for the threads on the stud or in the nuts, but it's the method I've got at hand, so that's what we're going to use. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to try this on every stud, and if... Oh, that one moved. That one broke. You heard it crack. And when I say it broke, I mean it broke free from the block, not it broke. You'll know that I broke something because I'll say a word that I'll have to bleep out. That one's moving and free. Thought I saw red Loctite. It's just red rag fuzz, so that's fine. Alright, lefty loosey. Super sketchy. Feels sketchy every time I do it, and yet here I am doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it 16 times. Alright. Yeah, I don't know where I first saw this method. I assume it was my father. And I don't know what the context was. I assume it was either a motorcycle or an antique outboard, because those were his 2 mechanical fascinations when I was around as a kid. It's tight. Okay. And I'm pushing. I'm holding my breath because it's... There we go. There we go. So, fun fact, this is one of my least favorite socket driver handles because the switch for Gazinga's out, this Gazinga's out switch, is right where my hand ends up being, and I switch it all the time. I know my hand should be out here because that's how these are built, but do I put my hand out there? No, I put my hand here, and I hit the switch all the time. And you don't switch it to the other drive, you switch it to the middle, and it ends up just being dead, and it's like, well, now what's happening? But I've had that there forever. I don't even know what brand it is. I want to say Gear Wrench. So, it's been reliable, it's been good. I should go get my old Warhorse Use it for oil changes. My dedicated oil filter wrench socket. They live together. Don't need that. This thing I've had forever. It's been smashed with hammers and everything else. Broke the switch right off of this one. You can still activate it with the flat where the break happened. So let's give that a whirl. No offense, gear wrench. Just put you over here where the tools are. Yeah, I moved the tools over to the lift because I needed more bench space. I have an old dead 3D printer on that side of the bench that I need to get rid of. And old is accurate, dead, I don't know. It's a system, they had a proprietary feed system for the filament, early days of 3D printing, I guess. And it takes these cartridges that are unobtainium, so you can't get filament for it anymore. And there's been somebody wrote firmware hack for it, so it'll feed off of regular filament, but even that is out of date now. So they're not supporting that, and you can't get it anymore. So it's like, well, I brought it home with a bunch of old material, which is another thing you don't like with 3D printing. You don't like old material. So it's just taking up room on my bench now, and I've had it for I think 2 years, and I've done absolutely nothing with it. So I should have taken it when we did our electronics recycling at work, but as I stood in the garage and looked around and said, well, what other electronics do I have? Because I had old VCRs and other old junk. Can't think of anything else. Well, I guess we got everything. And then like the day afterward, I'm like, oh, there's 3 more VCRs. There's the old 3D printer that takes up too much space. And it weighs like a dorm, it's like heavier than a dorm. It's about the size of a dorm fridge. It weighs more than it though, I think. And it's just, there's nothing to grab on it. It's like, looks like it was made by Apple. It's all smooth edges. There's nowhere to grab it. So it's a pain to deal with when you're trying to move it. So I just leave it on the bench. And then when it's time to get rid of it, I'll lift it off the bench and put it in the back of the truck. But what I don't want to do is set it on the floor. Then you gotta lift it off the floor, and that's no fun for anybody. Oh, well, come on. That one doesn't want to move either. Man. So, no, let's not stab ourselves if we can help it. My hands are all oily. So you notice I skipped over that one. He's gonna soak some. This one didn't want to move either, so it's gonna wait. I'm wondering if all of the 4 on the farthest outside edges are gonna be the problems. But they're also then the easiest ones to hit with heat. I've got MAP gas over there. I mean, I've got Oxy too, but I don't see acetylene, but we're not gonna go that far. Yeah. I don't know, is this worth recording every step of this? Am I ever gonna watch back to this? Anyone else ever gonna watch it? Sound like James May, existential. Is anybody watching this? James May did a series called it was 2, well, they call them series, like we call them seasons. It was 2 series of a show called The Reassembler, where he started with a table full of something taken apart, several things. Yeah, that one doesn't want to move either. he started with these piles of parts that should be, I don't know, he did a bunch of stuff. And multiple times during the series he would stop. It's like tree falling in the woods, if nobody hears it, is it actually happening? He felt that way about what he was doing. So I'm going to stop here. I really wanted to get the cases apart today and get a start to look at the transmission, but Soichiro does not want it to happen today. So Soichiro, being who he is, gets to say what happens. So we're going to do some more Kroil. I squirt a lot of Kroil onto the bench because this pump is very good at that. Get some more Kroil on all these. Next time we'll come back with hopefully the right tool for holding onto studs. Possibly heat. So that one's loose, that one's loose, this one's not. Possibly some heat. Give this thing a little pivot so it's more flat. Alright, not for anything, that's probably the way I should have been doing this all along, but welcome to my world. We come up with the best ideas after we're done working on things. So I need you to if I can move this up, probably not. Yeah, maybe. Oh, tying this cases down to a couple of 2x4s on the bench would sort of replicate. That was dumb. Sort of replicate tying it to like clamping it into a proper engine. Like, I don't know what they're called, the thing that holds an engine when you're working on it. Engine, not stand, but yeah, I guess service stand, whatever. I don't have one of those, so I figured if I was going to be, torquing it forward and backwards, tied to a big flat 2x4 sticking out the back would probably help with that. Now we get little puddles of Kroil. That's what we wanted. Those are already out. That one's already out. That one's out, that one's out. Bunch of goop in there. Is that more or less in the camera at that angle now? Sorry. So that. I don't know where all that Kroil's going. He squirted in there and it just disappears. I'm gonna find this pile of Kroil somewhere. That's alright. Alright, everybody, soak. Oh, goodness. That's the wrong way to do that, but it seems to be effective. Alright. Oiled. Kroiled. Alright. Guess that's it. This video's coming on an hour anyway, so till next time.